The following podcast reflects the views and opinions of the hosts and guests only. They do not reflect the views or opinions of any agency or specific members of an association. At times, colorful language may be used and may be unsuitable for people under the age of 18. Discretion is advised.
111, 110.
All right, happy 2023. Is this our first show of 2023?
No.
Is our second one?
The second one.
Man, it feels like it's been so long since we did one and thought it was last year. I am your president of the PPA, Steve Grammis. With me, as usual, is
Dan Coyne, treasurer of the PPA.
And sitting in the far chair is
Adela, the events coordinator.
And the person that got all this stuff going. We have a new set. We've got a rug, a shag rug. Looks like a werewolf. You can rub your hands on if you ever have a Jeffrey. If you remember, get them to the Greek, right? Rub the furry wall.
One of our great offer-up finds.
Yeah, we got all this on Nellis Auction. Shout out to Nellis Auction. As always, thank you to Rollin' 7 for doing all of our production and video and cameras and lighting and keeping everything looking really official as we try to be as official as we can be. So yeah, we got a good show today. We'll talk a little bit about the legislature. Talk a little bit about some decisions being made out of California. Talk with the main part of the show is having Tierney on our show. Tierney was involved in an OIS last year. She was nominated for the top 10 top cops in D.C. that's going to be having their award ceremony in May of this year, and we're really excited to hear from her, where she's at, where she was when the incident happened, her road to recovery. A lot of good things I think are going to come out of that, and we'll spin a little bit of our own stuff in there as we go along, right, Dan?
Yeah, I think we will. Starting with Keeping It Crispy is our sponsor for today. They only sent us over 2, though.
No, it's a little
new,
light.
It's the new low carb, gluten free, carb free. So they only sent 2.
Rice Krispie treat. Yeah. Well, there's a stick with nothing on it, as though someone ate one off of there already.
Don't worry.
So what do we get? You keep us on point here and make sure I don't talk too much. So
We talking about drop?
yeah.
That was first on it.
Legislation.
Legislation.
Yeah, we're going to do an update.
We drop. So an update on DROP, which is the Deferred Retirement Option Program. It's a bill that we all came together on, and we're pushing up in the legislature. Mainly right now, Johnny the Bull Abel and Troyce Crumey are doing a great job up there. It's getting some traction. From the original language we've had to make some changes because I guess it was unconstitutional for the state constitution, where any of the employee or employer contributions goes to anybody but PERS. So we've had to change it where PERS will now be getting 100% of the 50% contribution. So that's going to be good for PERS. It's gonna, for their bottom line, it's going to be profitable, I believe. So right now, as the program stands, you have to have minimum retirement eligibility. So you have to have your age and your time and a minimum of 25 years of service. From then, you can enter the drop. Your 100% of your pension will go into a drop account, and it's going to be a account managed by an outside firm, something like a Fidelity, like your deferred comp, and you'll be able to pick your own investments. And then your contributions will continue to go into PERS. You'll be able to continue to stay. You stay a union member. You still get all the benefits of the CBA, your vacation time, your health benefits. It's not like you retired. It's like you never left the department. You just entered into the drop program. Still, we have it as 7 years you can participate in drop. So that's moving its way through. We have high hopes for it. I don't know why anybody who wouldn't want it. It's great for police and fire. It's going to help with the retention. We've had more than 900, or right around 900 commissioned officers retire since 2020. I think this is going to help retain a lot of that number.
So what do you think there's a dramatic effect on PERS? You know, people always talk, as you were starting this bill and getting it going, people were like, we got to protect PERS. And Does this model hurt PERS?
Change is hard, so a lot of people don't like change, but I think this is a good change because right now, if you look at PERS numbers, and their biggest doubt on this would be that you're going to force people to retire early. And right now, it's about 20 and a half years is when somebody in police and fire retires. That's their average number. The fact that you have to do at least 25 and have your age and years of service requirement as well, it's gonna force people to stick around longer if they want the benefits of this program. So I think they're gonna see more people waiting longer to retire. That's gonna help PERS because the money they have in there, they have the compound interest effect, right? So your money's being invested and they make money off those investments. So if you can extend somebody's career on average by 2 years, they make a lot of money. This now will force somebody to be 25 years, and if they stay in for another 7 years, PERS is going to get your entire contribution and the employer's contribution for 7 years, no strings attached, which means they don't have to pay you any more service credit. You're done earning service credit. The only thing that's going to happen is you're going to start getting your COLAs when you normally would, starting at 3 years in retirement. But in effect, your pension benefits are frozen to that date when you enter drop. So they're getting 50%, no strings attached, and I believe the average years of service will increase because of this. Because if somebody's got 24 on or 23 on, they'd normally retire. They might stick around till 25 to enter into drop, so they can get pretty much a pension and their full salary and benefits at the same time, and it's going to make our guys' retirement a lot better. The number one cause of sadness for retirees is a lack of funds, and this will help them out with that. I mean, you go in a drop for 2-3 years, be able to pay off your mortgage when you retire just from that.
So you said as it affects us, but when we started this, we realized it was more. It should have been more than just police, right? And we included the fire guys, and we started working with the fire. Shout out to Pat Rafter and James Suarez with the city and the county. But it was important to us because those folks have a stressful job too, and those folks we want to keep on the job as well. And so it was important to us to include our fellow first responders with the fire because it is a huge benefit. Like you said, if I retire, but I could keep doing this job, and then when I fully leave, could pay off my mortgage, I really can just live off my pension. I shouldn't have any real issues. And so we didn't want to focus on just the cop side.
Yeah, that's correct, Steve. I mean, all of us first responders, if you look at the pension system, it's police and fire PERS, right? They're first responders too. They go through the same traumas that we do, seeing stuff on a day-to-day basis. We think they should have the reward. There's if they look at the program, common sense shows that PERS, their only chief complaint was it's going to force people to retire early. We solved that for them. They like the 25% contribution. Now they're getting 50%. I think it's going to do great things for the fund. We're going to have we put in there that there's going to be an experience study at year 6 to see the true fiscal impact. I think they're going to see more money coming in just because it's going to prolong people's careers. And in the future, who knows, it could help their fund balances to the effect that we don't have big PERS increases in the future because of this program. But anybody using PERS, police or fire, should support this because, one, it's a great financial benefit for them, and I think it's a good financial asset for PERS too that could help with that end fund balance for them.
Well, and too, like if take a guy like me, when I hit 25 years, if I go into drop and you're getting 50% of my pay to PERS, one, you don't have to give any back, which is contrary to our regular contribution because we get that back in the end. But two, it's a higher rate. My 50% is more than a brand new officer. So they're making a little bit more money on me as opposed to the new
because it goes
cop.
off your base PERSable salary, correct?
So why would anyone be against something like this? Why would someone say, I don't think drop is the route to go?
I don't think anybody should be. I think, like I said, change sucks. Sometimes there's a lot of work involved in change, and maybe that's it. But I think the more this plan goes around, the more we talk about it, people are going to start getting on board. They're gonna be doing a study, a financial study in this to see if there's going to be a negative effect, if it's cost neutral, if it's profitable. I'm a firm believer that it can't be anything but profitable. Just looking at the numbers and really solving their main issue was it's going to force people to retire early. Well, now that you put that 25 cap on it, it's 4.5 years above your average retirement age.
And you are, full disclosure, Dan, you are a fiscal conservative,
I have a couple calculators, yes.
right? You will, do your best to save money where you can. You sat out at 4 a.m. at a Sportsman's Warehouse just for a 10% discount
Listen,
on something.
10% adds up over the
No,
course of the year,
And I think it's important so that when people are listening, and this really is toward our police and fire counterparts as well, is that they're not listening to someone that just pisses money away, for a lack of better terms. You're our treasurer. You're very conservative. I know that. Adela knows that. We don't like paying $12,000 for grass and stuff like that. But so coming from someone like you that would worry about the end fund and the dollars, is it your thought that what we're doing is going to impact PERS in a negative way, or it's going to be cost neutral, or it could actually benefit?
So I know my limitations, right? I think I'm a fiscally conservative guy, and I usually know the numbers, but I know I'm not a professional in that field. So I went out and reached out to actual professionals, actuaries, and had them run the numbers. And I wasn't going to take my word for it. And they came back and they confirmed my theory on it. And they said, yeah, there should be a big profit being made on this, just because their biggest thing was, we don't want to lose on the compound interest and start paying people earlier than they would have. And it's true. If there was a drop program where somebody can go in at 15 years or 10 years or 20 years, they're going to go out a little bit earlier. But the fact that we took their number and bumped it up, I think that's going to solve everything. And then they're getting 50% for free. What is it purchasing? It's not purchasing your years of service. So I think we've solved it all for them. I think when the legislator comes back and has that study reformed, I think it's going to back up my thought, our actuary's thought. I think it's going to be good for everybody.
Good. So to our police and our fire folks out there, at the end of the day, we as the unions, we as your representation work for you. We carry the water for you. We've seen it in the past where, you see groups going against their membership, and, that's probably not the right direction to go. So if it's important to you, if you work, Henderson Fire, City Fire, County, North Las Vegas Police, wherever, reach out to your representation. Tell them, hey, this is what we want to see. We think this is a program we would like. I think it's a program that would keep me here an extra 3 to 5 years after 25, and we want to see it come forward. So if you're watching, which we know, we're at so many million followers and viewers now. We can't even count anymore. I need a ticker board that will keep me running, like a telethon. The Jerry Lewis telethon used to keep that thing running, and that'll tell me how many people we have. But talk to your folks and tell them, hey, this program sounds pretty good, and if they give you any,
and this
talk
is,
around,
this
call
is
up
something.
Dan.
Yeah, this is something that we've reached out to all the presidents of the unions for the police unions in the state, and every single one of them has expressed interest in, hey, this would help our membership out. This would help our cities out. And Henderson President Sean, he's been doing a great job pushing it with his members. Actually, one of our guys got pulled over the other day, and they heard who it was, and they're like, oh, PPA is the one pushing that, so they let him off. They're doing a great job at it, but their cities are actually coming to them and saying, hey, this would help with our retention problem, because a lot of the smaller agencies, they're losing 10, 15 guys, and that's a huge percentage of the department that they can't replace. They can't replace the experience. So I think this is something that the city managers should look at, as well as the departments, and say, hey, maybe this is good for us as well.
Oh, no, for sure. There's a lot going on up at the legislature. There's a lot of bills we could talk about. It'd be nice if we had John here to talk, but he's up there working very hard every day, trying to protect our way of life, our profession, and look out for the state as well. So, as you go to the PPA webpage, Adela, how would they get to the link for the bill tracking?
So you would go to lvppa.com. On the top, on the headers, it says, I believe, legislation.
Yes.
And then there's the bill tracker, and you just sign up, and then whatever bills I think you want to track.
So John Abel is tracking bills, and he has it added to there. So whatever bill he's working on they thinks would affect our membership. He's had it posted on there, so then our members can look at it and see what we're doing.
Good. Now, I know he did a video before he went up to the session that was really good. It really walked you through how to use it. So if you're a little confused, go back, watch John's video, or contact Adela and ask her to send you that email again. But it'll walk you through how to do it. And it's really cool. That way you can stay involved, engaged, see what John's watching, see some things that may be important to you, dates we may need people to testify. If the drop program is something you really believe would be something you'd like, when we ask for people to call and testify, that'll keep you up to date on that stuff. So good stuff going on. I love the drop program. Dan, you put a ton of work into this. And a lot of people have jumped on board, which is great. That's what we need for a program like that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of help from the other unions as well. Like I said, Henderson's doing a great job. We're meeting with North Las Vegas tonight. The supervisors union, Troyce is doing a good job with Able up there, as well as City Corrections, their president's up there pushing it as well.
Yeah. All right. So I think we wanted to talk. Do we want to go into the guest, right? Okay. All right. Sorry. So I'll start all right. So now comes the point of the show where we are going to bring in our guest, our main feature for this podcast. Tierney was involved in an officer-involved shooting last year. She was an absolute savage. I love saying that because
job.
she wasn't scared. She was engaged. She took a round, a very, very bad shot to the hip, and said, I'm going to stay in the fight and I'm going to keep going. So we're very, very pleased to have her come in today and talk and give some perspective on what happened that night and her career and things like that. So we will come back with Tierney, who's in the green room. I think there's a couple celebrities in there with her. Will Ferrell's in there. John Cena, The Rock, I think, is in there. So she's hamming it up with those folks and telling them how to be a real hero. And then she'll be on the show with us. So we'll be right back. All right. We're very happy to have on our last year's resident badass for the police department, Tierney Tomburo. This is something that's probably really a first for us. Yep. We haven't had an officer that's been involved in an OIS on the show to talk about really what happened and what has taken place since then. And we're happy to announce that she is nominated in the top 10 across the country for the Top Cops Award, going to take place in D.C. this May. So, Tierney.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We were talking off air, but don't you agree we need a table?
Oh, yes.
Right there?
Absolutely.
You don't have a water table to put something down. No, listen, thank you for coming on. Want to know a little bit about you, history, where you grew up, how you got into police work. And then we'll talk a little bit about that night, about what happened and what's happened since and how you're feeling.
Well, I was born and raised here in Las Vegas. I went to Faith Lutheran for high school. I went to San Diego State for college, got a degree in criminal justice, and then I graduated when COVID hit. So I didn't even get to finish my senior year. I finished it online, but my second semester, I had to come back here. I moved back from San Diego, moved it back in with my parents. And then I was like, okay, well, got to get my life together. What do I want to do? I was going to go to law school. And then I was like, instead of going to law school, why don't I just, instead of be the problem, go out there and get my own hands dirty? And sure enough, I did eventually. But I applied for Metro in 2020 and got right on it. I heard people take years, months to get it all through. I think it happened for me in 6 months. Started the academy, did the academy, great. And then I was off probation for about 9 months before that incident happened.
So you did you grow up in Henderson?
No, I grew up right there on Cheyenne and Hualapai, right where the academy is.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Shout out to Faith Lutheran, the Crusaders, good school.
Exactly.
San Diego State Aztecs,
Yeah.
right?
San Diego State Online.
Yeah.
Some of the most successful people I know graduated from online.
They consider
colleges,
San Diego
yes.
State Online the Harvard of the San Diegos. But you played sports, right?
I did. I grew up playing soccer.
Your family says you were a badass soccer. Not just, hey, I played. Listen, I played football. I wasn't super good, but I played. So when you're good, you say, oh, no, I was a soccer player. Not I played soccer.
I was. I did. We won state. I was captain that year, so I mean,
There's a little bit of
says a little
swag. See,
something.
it went from I played to no. Okay, listen, I was team captain and kicked everybody's ass, and we won a lot of games. And
No, it was fun. I did enjoy it, but I wanted something different throughout college, and I mean, I went a totally different route. Instead of playing soccer, I was like, okay, let's join a sorority. So I was that sorority girl all throughout college. And so my life changed from being that soccer, that athletic. We grew up camping, boating, all of that, to let's change your life into a girly girl. And then I'm like, nah, it's not for me. Let's go to Metro now and let's go do that. So I tried it, but not for me.
was Metro always your number one, or did you think Henderson may have been number one, or
I
somewhere?
didn't think about Henderson and Northtown. It was all just Metro straight up.
Good. And why police work? Do you know anybody in police work?
No,
Did
I'm
you-
the first one in my family to do law enforcement. I have a bunch of family friends that were law enforcement, but other than that, like, it's a whole new world to me. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. I was like, oh, my parents have no idea. My brothers have no idea. Obviously, we follow it, but never to the aspect of, like, what I am to now.
Are you still continuing your education? You trying to go further than your bachelor's?
No,
Are you going to?
probably not.
No? Okay. Hey,
Unless-
no pressure. No pressure.
Unless
Just-
I need to promote somewhere, but...
well, if you want to be a captain, you've got. I
Yeah,
think you have
we'll
to. Well, you
see.
got a bachelor's, so I
Yep,
think that's
you're
all
good.
you need, right?
You're good.
Yeah. All right. So we fast forward. You made it through the academy. You made it through field training. Do you think your soccer background helped you through a lot of the physical fitness stuff in the academy and that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously soccer's a bunch of running, so that's all the academy is running, not so much lifting or being like the strength in that aspect. I mean, a little bit, but not too much. We were running 6 miles a day, it felt like, and you can ask anyone in my academy. I was not the best runner in the academy. No, wagon wheels for sure for me. Shout out to my academy for that. But no, I mean, I for sure do think soccer and just having that endurance and that determination, that stamina, having all that behind it, I was determined to complete any task that I was challenged with.
So, any advice for people maybe going to the academy? Hey, don't worry about lifting weights. Don't worry about that type of
Right.
stuff. You need to just be in running shape.
Right. Like I have friends that right now are trying to just test for it, and unfortunately they fail it, or they don't have that, like, not necessarily drive, but they're nervous to go about and doing it. They're afraid of failing. And honestly, I failed my first 2 times of the PT test, and I just had to keep doing it and not like giving up. And eventually I trained hard enough and I passed it. So
What part of the test were you failing? The run or?
I was failing the run, and I primarily think because I stopped playing soccer or throughout college, so I had a lot of drinking days, lots of partying and stuff like that. So I wasn't as fit as I was throughout playing soccer. And so when I went straight from college to that PT test, I was like, I got to get my life together. I got to go run. And I told them, I'm like, if you want to go out to the track and run with me, or you want to just go to the gym and just keep doing something daily. You're not just going to walk onto that track and do it. Like, it's not a bad PT test. It's really not that hard. It just is if you go from drinking beer and sitting on the couch, you're not going to pass it. You got to do at least something.
Yeah. So, okay, so we're through there. Now let's look at your incident, right? So, I was there at the hospital with you that night. Our team was out there on the scene with everything going on, but getting the perspective from you as to what happened. You know, what were you doing before the call you arrived on? What happened as you got there? What were some of the things that were evolving? What were some of the hairs on the back of your neck standing up at any point? All the way through till, you know, hey, we're now at the hospital, and you know, we got people running around like crazy, and you're still just wondering what
happened?
what's the outcome? Yeah.
So that night was actually my first night in Greens, the 6 Nora, the enforcement. I was super excited. I mean, it took me 2 months just to even get my greens to me. So I was always the 6 Nora, but I was in tan. So it was just the first night I was in the greens. And I was with a new partner. His name was Adrian Duenas. I'm usually with Brandon Lloyd, but he was off that night. And we decided, hey, let's just go do it. Let's go do enforcement. Not a big deal. So we're doing a bunch of car stops, and we just ended one of the car stops, cleared it at Mary, and I was like, hey, Duenas, I gotta pee. So we go to Convention Center, and on the way, as I'm driving northbound on University, I see a car like swerve lanes, and I'm like, oh no, DUI. And me and Duenas are really big on not doing DUIs, but obviously gotta do it. So I flip a U-turn, get behind the car, he swerve lanes again, I light him up, And he doesn't stop initially, so I'm like, oh no, he's probably going to dip or whatnot, but he actually ended up going into University Gardens. And it looked like he was trying to keep going, but the gate stopped him, and he didn't have like that sensor on his car to go through the gate, so he stopped. And so I actually told Dwayne, I said, don't even bother running it. Just get it out on the air so they know where we are and what car we're out on. And so as soon as he did that, I just jumped out of the car, went to the vehicle, told him, roll down all your windows. And my driver's side window, or their driver's side window was rolled down, and their back was also rolled down. But
Sorry, Tierney.
no, you're good.
We try to be as professional as we can in here. and
You're good.
I keep hearing bing, bing.
You see how I get blamed around here?
Yeah, that's all you.
Well, you have 3 phones with you right now,
I
don't
think
you?
it's my iPad.
Oh, is it?
I think so.
Damn it, Robin.
No, it is.
I forgive.
I'm so
I
sorry.
forgive you.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, go ahead, Tierney. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So I approached the car because that was the first thing. Just I was like, okay, why is it slow rolling? But again, it's Nora. It's every car we're doing. And I roll down the window, and I immediately see a bunch of Corona bottles in the back, and I'm like, okay. So he swerved, bunch of empty bottles. There's a open bottle right there between the driver and the passenger seat already. I smell the liquor coming off his breath, but he's super cool with me. And I'm like, hey, I'm Officer Tomburo with LVMPD. The reason I pulled you over is because you were swerving and your headlight was out. And he's like, yeah, I know, man. Like, I'm trying to just get it fixed. I got to go to auto, whatever. And I'm like, okay, no worries. And then I'm like, why don't you have your seatbelt on? He's like, just one of those nights. I'm like, okay. And I was like, do you have a driver's license? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, well, now you're getting out of the vehicle. I told Dwayne, I was like, hey, Dwayne, I'm going to send one over to you. He goes back to my patrol vehicle. I send the driver to Dwayne. And then I go to the passengers. I'm like, hey, I'll get to you guys in a minute. You guys are going to step out too. And then I go around the back. That's when I realized my body camera wasn't on. I was like, oh, crap. Tap that on. And then I said, passenger, get out. And that was my bad. I only went up to that one. They were both passengers. I should have said front seat passenger, back seat passenger. But they both ended up getting out at the same time. In the academy, we were always taught, like, don't put someone back into the car. If they get out, roll with it. You're going to do what you're going to do. Don't put them back into the unknown. So the backseat passenger comes back to the patrol car, and the dude in the passenger seat walks out. And as I'm saying, like, hey, do you guys have any weapons or guns I need to know about? Dude just takes off. And I'm like, okay, the closest one. I'm the one in the foot pursuit. Dwayne is handcuffing the other dude right now. I say 6 North 13, foot pursuit. We start running in the apartment complex. Like, I don't know why he didn't go out onto the street. That's where he could have easily gone away. But the gates, like, cut him off in the apartment complex. And I was gaining on him. I didn't even call out the description because I thought I was so close to him. I was just going to get him real quick. I didn't need to put all the information out. I'd rather just use my arms to get there. A car was coming at me. I actually, like, almost got hit by the car chasing the dude. And I also had my flashlight in my hand as I was running. And, like, that motion of, like, running like that flashed him at the exact time that he pulled the gun and shot me, which was wild because, like, I exchanged no words with him. Like, he didn't say a single word at all. He just took off running, and I was like, so much could have been prevented just if he just talked to me, like. But I saw the silver handgun, saw the flash, and immediately went down. I felt like heat in my leg, like it was just all hot. And it was like a dead leg. Like, it just went straight to the ground. And then I don't remember too much of that. I still don't remember, but I remember obviously unholstering. I shot. I know I got him once right away because he went down on his left knee, and then he got right back up and continued running. And then that's when I fired obviously more rounds. I fired 4 total. And then I saw him immediately go down. And in my head, I deemed him dead. Like, he wasn't moving, wasn't saying anything, wasn't screaming, wasn't like anything. I was like, okay, he's dead. So I was propped up on my left hand, and I'm pretty positive I shot with one hand. I didn't even turn on my light, so it was completely dark in that parking lot. I'm honestly surprised I hit him in general. Like, I'll admit it. Don't even know if I looked through my sights or anything like that. But I was, like, laying on the ground. I was, like, obviously in pain. I screamed, tried to get on my radio. Go back right here. And then you guys will say, anyone got weapons or anything I need to know about, okay? All right, to the front, to the front, to the front, to the front. Ooh, hey! Hey! 6 North 13,
Where you at? Where you hit? Where you hit?
I need a leg.
Okay, I got you. Right on the leg, how far up? Okay.
My radio fell. My radio fell. Give me your radio.
I got you, don't worry.
Hi. Hi. I'm going to be off of University Center in Flamingo, the University Gardens. I'm going to be on the north side right when you enter. Kept on getting that damn error notification. I don't know if I was beeping over Duanis or my sergeant or dispatcher, whoever it was. Tried to keep on saying shots fired, shots fired. Couldn't get anything out. I eventually heard Duanis saying like shots fired, I need medical. And then that's when I finally got through and said, shots fired, roll me medical, one is down. I said his descriptions and all of that. And then I just was like laying there and you see it in the body camera. I'm like, what the heck just happened? And I start undoing my belt, start undoing my pants, seeing where I got shot. Because originally I thought I got shot in my thigh. That's where the pain was coming from. I had no idea I got shot in my hip. And I yelled to Duanis, I'm like, Duanis, I need your tourniquet. Like, come help me. And totally forget that he had two guys himself. But then, like, I look and I turn up, like, my head and I see him. He's out on gun on the two people. And I see the one guy proning himself out. And I'm like, Duanis, I don't care. Like, just come and help me. He runs. He comes and helps me. He's asking where I'm hurt. He sees the guy obviously not moving too. So I think in his head, he deemed dude was dead too. Helps me apply the tourniquet. As he's applying the tourniquet, this poor dispatcher could not like get the damn location out. I think we said it like 10 times. I feel so bad for him, but we eventually got it out. I said where I was, had a bunch of units run into me. Fortunately, a convention center unit heard the foot pursuit. I guess he turned in at the exact time. So he was right there on Paradise and Flamingo. And he got right to me. He pulled up, shoved me in the back of the police car. Duanis ended up staying, and I ended up having one of my good friends, Tyler Cooney, come like check on me in the back of the door because no one was in the back of the car with me. And he's like, what the hell? She's in the back by herself? And I'm like, hi, help, please. I don't know what to do. I have no medical experience. And he was prior EMT, so I'm like, I'm glad he was the one that saw me, and I was comfortable with him. He gets in the back of the car with me. We ended up passing medical, but I don't know why we did that, but, you know, to each their own. But we drove all the way down to UMC. Tyler's in the back, and he's like, I'm just undressing you. And I was like, dude, I'm shot. Just take my pants off. Like, I don't care. I was like, figure it out.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like, I can't find it. I was like, and then we ended up, the tourniquet was over the bullet hole.
So it was covered up.
Pressuring up. So, I mean, it ended up being nice because I didn't bleed out by anything.
Yeah.
But obviously, a tourniquet's not going to help the hip in any way.
Sure.
But where it was placed, it was at least putting some pressure. So he ended up just taking off everything, and I just remember getting dragged out of the patrol car and onto the gurney. I saw like a bunch of like gang unit officers. I'm like, I don't know anyone. And then I actually turned and I saw Kenny, and I'm like, oh, at least I know he's there. He made it. He was actually working overtime that night at Planet Hollywood. And he, of course, is listening to South Central and what I'm doing, being that nosy boyfriend. And he actually texted me while I was on my foot pursuit. He's like, babe, what are you doing? I know you don't run. I was like, I know. I'm not the runner. But he heard all of it go down, which unfortunately for him, he's got to live with hearing that every day. But he actually was in the motorcade, like going to the hospital. He ended up being like the fourth car in it. And he's like, that was wild. I was like, was your body camera on? I want to watch it. But he was there. So went right into trauma. They got it all fixed up. And here we are today.
Well, I don't know if they'd say they got you all fixed up. I mean,
Pretty much.
You were, you were in a rough spot. And so I'd like to play. So you downplayed what happened. I'm going to be honest, because I've seen a lot of incidents where people give up, they quit, cops. I'm shot. I've had cops that weren't shot, thought they were shot, and shut down.
Yeah.
And so what you did was actually take a bullet,
Stayed in the fight.
assess what the hell's going on, and said, listen, screw you. I'm not just going to lay here and let you get away. I'm going to fucking return some fire, and
Right.
we're going to deal with this shit, because it's very easy. And that's why you are one of the top cops, is because it's very easy to just, woe is me. I'm hit. I got to deal with me now. That guy may get away, but that guy may get away and shoot another cop,
Right.
may shoot somebody else because he knows what he's done. and you said, let me get up on my good hip and my good arm and throw some rounds down range to see if we can stop this bad guy. So if we can play the video and watch like how this really unfolded, and we'll just do a little 45-second at that point. And I assume you can dub all that together, right? So yeah, we've watched the video. Yeah, it looks good. Like that is what happened. And that is a hero right there. That is somebody that, man, woman, doesn't matter. That's that fighter's instinct that says, I'm not going to just be a victim here. And you weren't. And that was the conversation that whole night at UMC between executive staff, myself, even though you're laying on the bed in your little bay, there was some guy two bays over. I told you this before. And I don't know if he had a hangnail or what the hell was wrong with him, but he's screaming, I need medication, I need this. And you're sitting on your bed laughing, wondering, hey, did we get the bad guy? Yeah, and that's what we need in police officers. And again, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. We need people that are willing to go out there and do the job, and knowing that there's a safety risk. And so what's it been like since then? So you're recovering. The incident's over.
Right.
We'll move past any interviews with the critical incident team. But how are you doing now? How's your recovery? And how's your family dealing with? Because I know your mom was down there, your brother was down there, and your family's there. Like, oh my goodness, this is like the worst fears that we could
Mother
have.
girl.
Yeah, no doubt.
The first 2 months, they were rough. I have a 2-story house that me and Ken live in, and then so I was like, there's no way, obviously, I'm getting up the stairs. So me and Kenny actually moved in with my parents for the first 2 months of it, which was not god awful on my mom's side, but I mean, a little bit, but you know what I mean? But just the aspect of not being able to move, like, I gotta give a shout out to Kenny. Like, he picked me up and carried me from the bed to the bathroom. Like, I could not walk. I could not move. The showering was even just a task. Like, we had to wheel me over to the shower. I had to just lay down, and boundaries were crossed. Kenny learned to bathe me, wash my hair, all of it. So if it wasn't for him, it would have been a lot more rough. I didn't start PT until I think a month and a half in. So I was in a wheelchair for a solid month, maybe a little bit more than that, and then I moved on to a walker. As a 24-year-old girl, I didn't like either one of them.
Do you have the tennis balls on the front?
Yeah,
The whole thing?
I even built like a shelf and everything.
Oh,
so, like, I
nice.
was getting around.
Maybe even
like,
a horn.
Yeah.
To warn people
I had
you're
a bell,
coming.
like, Kenny, come here. But no, so the first 2 months were extremely rough, painful. I filled with anger. Therapy helps physical and just mental therapy. I was definitely angry at the world. Like, I had some problems to go through, and I'll admit that. After the first 2 months, though, I kind of like got over it. Therapy was done. I still go to PT 3 times a week now. Go to PT after this. But I'm back to running. Eventually, I'll be squatting again. Still hurts. I have a lot of knee problems. Everyone's been super supportive of me with even coming back to work. I'm light duty right now at South Central PD, and just having that mental stimulation with them. Like, my squad is great. I love them. They're there for me. They joke around with me. So it's just nice to be back and into it and just see people. But no, the sport's been wild, but I'm just happy to finally get back to full duty, hopefully in the next few months.
If you don't mind talking about it, because you hit on it and then you kind of push past it, which I understand. But mentally, you said you were dealing with some things. Because
Yeah.
there's plenty of people that go through this that don't share that side of it, and we lose touch of the mental aspect, the not being able to sleep, the replaying every night
Right.
when you close your eyes of what happened and waking up in a cold sweat. And people just think, oh, well, we just got to recover from the hip.
Right.
And that's it, right? You're ready to come back to work, and it's not. You know,
Like, a big aspect of it is like, I don't want to pull that female cop card. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, she's a female. She's making a big deal out of it. Oh, she's crying about it. She's just wants the attention. So I kind of just kept it under wraps the first few months. I'm like, I don't want to be labeled as that weak female cop. I'm tougher than that. But then I started realizing, like, it was building up, and I was taking it out on my family. I was taking it out on my friends. I was being a bitch. But I was having nightmares after nightmares. I became obsessed with watching the video. I would think I watched it like 10 or 20 times, like, a night before even going to bed. And then obviously I would I'd wake up, I'd wake up screaming and crying, and my mom would run into the room and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm okay because I'm alive, but I'm not mentally there." And like, that's one thing that I do like about the new sheriff right now is that he's bringing in that mental and that awareness, and like, it is a big thing. And before this, I'm like, mental, who cares? You're weak. Like, let's just move on past it. But now going through it, I'm like, no, that mental, that's big in life. It really affects your relationships. It affects your life, and whether you're angry or you're happy. And if you know me, I am a happy-go-lucky girl. I'm constantly smiling. I'm constantly laughing. But I imagine his face every single time I close my eyes. I would wake up from nightmares. I still have nightmares. They're not as frequent, but it's just as that him turning and him holding that gun up, and I see the muzzle and the flash, and like, that's the nightmare that gets me. That's when I wake up, and I wake up screaming, and I'm like, oh my God, am I alive? Like, I'm like, was that real life or is that just a dream again? But I definitely did keep that down, but as time goes by, I speak more about it, and it's okay to not be okay. Like, and that's what people have to realize, that I almost died. Like, what? And I know that's what I signed up for. And I'll go back out there again. I'll go chase whoever it is again. I'm not scared. Like, I'll go, if it happens, it happens. But it's okay to still be scared. It's okay to to talk about it. I had a lot of problems thinking about the what ifs. The stovepipe scares the living crap out of me. If he didn't stovepipe, there'd be no way I'd be here today. He would have tried to go more rounds, and I would have been lit up like a Christmas tree. Like, it wouldn't have been good. Who knows if he went after my partner, if other citizens around, like, who knows what he could have done. So at the end of the day, I don't want to say I'm happy they killed someone, but I'm happy I'm alive.
Listen, I share this with a lot of people. Ty's killer. I told the media, and I gotten some blowback. I get messages on Facebook and stuff like that from some of the nut jobs in our community. And I said, listen, there's some people that don't need to be breathing air. Some people don't deserve to be walking on this planet anymore. And, God put them here and gave them a chance. But at the end of the day, they took advantage of that, and they don't belong here. And so, the guy that tried to take your life, listen, it was you or him.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, there's no reason why he had to do that. Sure, he was convicted felon, probably would have gone to jail that night. Not probably, he would have, but could have been better, could have been alive at the end of the day. So that's not on me. That's something him and his family's got to have to deal with.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you talked about that. I could see you were getting a little, your lip quivering, and that's good. I mean, that's real, and that's what this is all about, is, bringing you on here to talk about how it really affects you. You can put up that stone wall of, plenty of guys I've heard, oh man, it's me or him, I'll kill him, it's over. No, it's not. None of us signed up to take anyone's life. We know it could happen, but we didn't sign up for it.
Right.
We also didn't sign up to lose ours, but it could happen. And just the fact that you stayed in the fight, that you continue to push forward, that you continue to work through what was going on, and you didn't know he was stovepiping.
No, I didn't even know that until literally like a few hours later in the hospital. I was just shocked. I was like, oh, only one round? I'm like, that's weird. And then my captain's like, yeah, it's stovepiped. And honestly, I was like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
And then they showed me the picture, and I was like, oh, that's wild. Thank God that happened.
Yeah. No, it's and the other thing too we talk a lot about is that you can train for scenarios all you want. Nothing is real until it's real.
Right.
We're not robots. There's not a switch we can flip on a cop to say this is how you will act when this situation happens. Yep. You can do that scenario you just had 50 times in training, but the truth is when we go in there, I know I'm not going to die. Mm-hmm. I'm going to walk out. I could fail the scenario. AOST could call me the worst cop tactically, but that's all that's going to happen. I'm not going to be dead. Your scenario changes things, and what do you do in response to that real stressor, that real fear of losing your life? Right. And like I said, you'll see there's people across the country that kind of fold and just turtle up and go, I don't want a piece of this. And then there's some crazy assholes like you that say, no, screw that. You want to go one at me? I'll go 5 at you. Right. And we're just so happy that you're still here. clearly you don't want to be a cop anymore, right? Like this would shake someone to the core that you're already looking to leave the agency and all.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to get back. My doctor's even like, slow your roll. I'm like, no, I want to get back into it. I want to go be chasing people again. I was like, you see who? Like, let's go. I don't need no vest. I'm invincible.
Love it. That's
Mom's not too happy about
That's
it.
okay. But listen, parents are different. Parents are built different, you know? I mean, like we talked about, my daughter said, hey, I want to be a police officer. I've been doing this for 24 years. I'd be like, I don't know about that.
Right.
You know, but if someone really wants to do it, it's a calling and it's something you were meant to do. You know, you were on a trajectory in your life to go somewhere else.
Right.
And something said, no, let's make a right and go do this. And thank God you did. Because now not only were you involved in an incident like that you can talk to fellow officers about how to get through it, how to cope, how to deal.
Right.
But on here, we've got, I mean, what is it now? 5.2 million viewers. You know, I mean, we've got people, in all honesty, we have people like India, France, I mean, that listen to this. And so there's people that have zero training but still do police work. And this stuff is important to them. So I appreciate you coming on. I know everyone, does anybody else have anything for Tierney? Talk about, or you know, are you looking forward to going to DC?
Yes, I'm so excited for that. I honestly, like, I've always heard about it, but I didn't like really understand what it was. Like I said, prior to this, I have no law enforcement background, so all of this is so new to me, and so I'm just taking everything, and I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome! Like, this is super cool. Like,
Yeah.
But no, I'm super excited. I appreciate the nominations. Like, it's just honestly, it's amazing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. We'll probably even do a podcast. We did one last year.
We did one
are we
last
doing,
year.
Are we doing another one this
I would
year?
like to.
Potentially. I mean, we've got several things going on. We've got you being nominated. We've got, you know, our two officers, unfortunately, lost their lives to talk about with family and stuff like that. So I think it's important that we probably do it. But if we don't, it is what it is. You can go back there, see other cops, drink a couple beers. Old
it.
Ebbets is a place I love.
Oh my God.
It's over.
Here we go.
It's the oldest bar.
that was coming.
It's
Yeah,
the
I
oldest
know.
bar in the U.S. It's amazing. But no, listen, Tierney, really, really appreciate you coming on. Very cool to hear your perspective of what happened that night and where you're at now. Is there any advice you'd give to people that may have been involved in an OIS that they should be working through, be honest about, or anything like that?
Honestly, just lean on others. I thought I could do it by myself, and I've quickly come to realize that you can't. You need the help. You need to talk to someone. You need to reach out, whether it be boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, therapy, friend, whoever, someone that doesn't even know you. Reach out to them, lean on them. It's okay to ask for help at the end of the day, and don't say you're okay if you're not okay.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's okay to not be okay. You know, shout out to the crew at UMC Trauma. That's, you know, our first line of defense when you are wheeled in there. And we've had several officers end up in there, and they're always top notch, whether it's the nurses, the doctors, it doesn't matter. So thank you from us to you guys, if you're watching now that we're at 6.2 million viewers, it means a lot to us to have those teams. And you know, your partner that had an EMT background, thank goodness.
Right.
I believe everything happens for a reason. You know, it wasn't someone that didn't know what they were doing opening the door to check on you. It was someone with a background in medical, you know. So very happy to have you on, Tierney. You're always welcome anytime you want to come back and talk about anything. But we look forward to seeing you in DC and
excited.
kind of talking about that when we get there too.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Tell me that you're just sitting there going, yeah, that wasn't a great story. I mean, there's no way. That was a great story of what happened from Tierney's perspective.
No, it was awesome. I think that's why everybody who's on the committee for Top Cops voted her to be one of the nominees. Hopefully she does well and takes home the number one top cop of the country when we're up there. I know the guys at the Smoke and Shields as well nominate her and may present her if she wins as the top cop for Nevada for their event at the end of the month. But she did a great job.
And Adela, you talked to her as, you know, a woman in policing and some aspects of that. You know, what kind of things did you get from her from the woman's perspective about being a police officer and what took place?
First, I think she's so young. She's 24 years old. And then the way she conducted herself was amazing. Like that was absolutely amazing. She did touch on something in that, what she said. And she said, you know, when she was a woman or being a woman in policing, like she felt she had to be stronger, not be a little crybaby, not be that weak woman. And I thought that was interesting that she finally decided like no, I need help. And, going through what she did. And that's a key thing that I think we need to understand, that it doesn't matter if, like I told her, a man, woman, or whatever, but she needed help. And to think that you couldn't ask for it, or because she was a woman. And, she kept saying it, and she said it off camera too, was, I was screaming, and for whatever reason that kind of stuck with her, like that she was screaming like a little girl, or like she was weak, and that's what plays with her. So that was kind of interesting to know that. So I think that was the takeaway is, it doesn't really matter. She went through something traumatic. She and handled herself very well. Even listening to her, how she handled it, I thought was amazing. But I told her as well, I was like, you need to continue therapy, that those things physically and mentally for her. But yes, I thought she was truly a badass for sure.
So what she went through, I have, as a grown man, 40-something years old, I have screamed louder and higher pitched when I stubbed my toe at 1 a.m. going to the bathroom. And everyone knows what that's like. That's, you think that's the worst pain in the world. And, for a man who has the man flu, it usually is. I mean, we are far worse than women. Our threshold for pain actually is probably far less. But listen, people talk about that the woman cop, the man cop, and listen, a fighter's mentality is a fighter's mentality. I don't care if you look in police work, sports, UFC. There are women in the UFC that are absolute savages that I would take in a barroom brawl over 50 different men that I know, because I know that their mental commitment to doing something is far better. And her mental commitment to not quitting, to getting the bad guy when she could have just said, I'm just gonna lay here. I need a tourniquet. I need help. No, let's deal with him first. And she did. And that was, it was, as a father of 4 daughters, it was uplifting to see that there's people in this world that share a same background as my kids, to look at and go, damn, that's who we're supposed to be. I don't need to be, sitting there quiet and reserved. But to what you said, Adela, I can also still ask for help.
Yeah.
And if I need to cry, it's okay. I could shed a tear. It's all right. It doesn't make it any weaker. Plenty of the best athletes in the world tell people that they're scared to death before their event starts. Plenty of fighters. Frank Mir, I talked to Frank. He's like, I almost threw up many times before I went into the ring. Doesn't mean I wasn't going to fight, but it's nerve-wracking, and it doesn't make you weak. It makes you human.
Watching the video, it was I watched it a few times, and she literally had the pulling it up herself, like the tourniquet. She had the mental doing it all. I was so impressed just watching it, and watching her today. She's an impressive girl. She's going to do good things in this department for sure. Yeah.
So one of the things we want to talk about was LA. LA is apparently moving to a model of no armed police response to certain calls, and we can put up the list of the calls and kind of scroll through it of what they're not sending police officers to, and they're just going to send someone else to go handle the call. And there's been a ton of conversation about, do police need to go to every call? And I am a firm believer a police presence needs to be there first to make sure the scene is safe. And then once the scene is safe, when the person's not armed, when they're not combative, that then some social help can come in. But till then, I fear that what we're going to see in LA is we're going to see some civilians getting hurt or killed trying to do the best they can to help somebody, and sometimes that person doesn't want it.
No, absolutely. You're sending somebody there who's not equipped properly for the job. Bad things are going to happen. Unfortunately, when people push their liberal agendas, it's not them who are paying the price. It's going to be the citizens, and it's going to be the actual workers that are responding.
And if it was that easy, if it was, hey, just go show up to the homeless person and just help them, if it was that easy, yeah, you could do that, but it's not. That homeless person may be schizophrenic, and that person coming up on them, they may think is a threat. And all of a sudden, that schizophrenic pulls out a knife and tries to stab that civilian who has no way to defend themselves. And now what do we got? Potentially one dead social worker, and we may have to arrive and potentially use deadly force on that person as well. And so now we've doubled the amount of dead people on a call rather than having an armed response to make sure that they're safe and then take care of it from there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, and most of our viewers can probably back this up, is almost any homeless person I've went out on has some kind of violent arrest or violent history in their past. And it could be from, drug use or their mental condition has violent tendencies. But they're not calm, peaceful people. Usually they're battling with something, and violence will occur. So they're making these policies at the cost of their citizens, and at the end of the day, they all leave, come to Las Vegas, move here because it's a little safer. But hopefully they don't bring those same ideas here.
Oh, but they do.
Yeah.
We see it. They elect the same people that are not supportive of the cops, the same people that are more supportive of bad guys than they are the citizens, the private business owners, and the folks in law and order. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen the influx of California to Nevada, up north especially, and the numbers of registered Democrats starts to increase,
Yeah.
and they bring that same mindset that they ran from, taxes, stuff like that, and it's just shocking how it's not the state, it's not the location of California, it's the people in it.
Yep. I think we have our own homeless bill of rights up in the legislature right now. We're not too familiar with everything in it, but just things keep popping up. There's a bill right now being passed or pushed by Dallas Harris concerning our members and police, and it's pretty much preventing law enforcement agencies to disqualify somebody testing for police officer for any kind of marijuana usage, even if it was the day before. For it or against it, I mean, I don't think it's going to have a good outcome when somebody's doing marijuana the day before, get on the agency, and you expect them not to do it the next day either.
Yeah. Well, I know what, I think New York's not even allowed to test an officer for marijuana use anymore as a prohibited. I believe it's there was a court case that came down that said, you can't test them anymore. So they don't test for marijuana after, I believe, an OIS or whatever. It's just not a ban. They took it off of the banned substances. So if they do a random test on you, all they're looking for is certain things, but that's not one of them.
Is it legal in New
I
York?
think so.
Is it?
I think so. I think they may have the same protocols that we do. I think, where was I just? I was in Charlotte, Florida. Yeah, they are on the same boat. They're talking about the certain amount of weight, how much you could have as opposed to what would get you in trouble, stuff like that. So it was, it's interesting. Thank goodness for Joe Lombardo as our governor. I think that we'll see, I think we've already seen a lot of bad bills against cops get thrown in the trash because they knew he's not going to sign it.
Yeah.
And we shout out to Joe. Last week we were up at this week. Was it this week?
This week.
Jesus.
He's doing great things up there. I just saw him on, he was driving the pace car for NASCAR last weekend.
Yep. Drives a Subaru.
Subaru.
Shout out to Subaru Outback. He's, governor was driving off-road vehicles, was a pace car at a NASCAR event.
Yeah, yep.
And he drives a Subaru. So shout out to Subaru. Must be good all-wheel drive in the snow. But, good show. Adela, do you have anything? We have some events coming up, right, pretty soon when this thing airs.
So the next one we have is April 4th is opening day for the Aviators game. So
nice.
You can see that email coming out to come out to the ballpark. We usually have the upper deck, food, drinks for our members and their family. Then we have Easter. Easter's April 8th. That will be here at the PPA office from 11 to 2 p.m.
We always have plenty of eggs for the kids.
Plenty. No artificial grass, though, but
We're committing to it's at the office because we had talked about maybe a park or
If we can get a bigger rug like this in green, I think it'll work.
This is where the egg hunt's going to happen. So just get a nice pan of the room because we're going to send in one kid at a time. Right. 4 eggs and get out.
I think the concern with taking it out of us is just the control of parks. I mean, I will continue looking, but I don't think there's any parks that we can.
I think that it works well here.
No, she had mentioned about maybe doing it, real grass and stuff like that. Kind of puts more of a back to when we were younger. That's where you did it. Was outside in a park, grassy field, stuff like that. And now we bring them indoors and do it in the conference room.
I don't want to do it in the conference room, Dan.
Listen, with our luck, we're going to run into some kind of venomous snake out there. We're not going to be insured for it, and there's never going to be an Easter again at the PPA. So you can do it here.
And then Steve can also talk about, but we have the football game, police and fire football game coming up May 6th. It is rapidly approaching. We have been working on it. We have a committee formed. We have great people who sit on our committee that are outside of law enforcement that have kind of brought good feedback and giving us a lot of direction on how we can take this
To the next level.
to the next level. Our goal is $250,000
and
to raise
worldwide.
and worldwide. So our police are practicing, or fire
And,
has
and
started.
again, the money that's raised from this police and fire football game will go to 3 different charities.
Yes.
Children's Heart Foundation, which is the local Las Vegas one, and any child that has disease of the heart or needs a transplant or anything like that, they help with the cost of that. Of course, Fire's charity, they're trying to get their memorial wall built, and of course the Law Enforcement Assistance Fund, which is what we use to help pay for the college expenses of our fallen officers' children.
Yes. So if anyone would like to be a part of it, sponsor, we have different sponsorship levels. Please contact our office at 702-384-8692, and we will absolutely send you over our sponsorship letter and get you handled. It will be at Bishop Gorman High School. I think we've secured that. So it's May 6th, Bishop Gorman High School at 6 p.m. Super excited about this year's game. I think it will be, see if Fire brings it a little bit better than last year.
Well, they I don't know. We've been on a little bit of a losing streak to Fire.
Yeah,
Since the
tug of
last
war. Did
game,
we do
they got
tug of
us
war?
in tug of war,
Yeah.
and they got us in pickleball.
That was
Pickleball.
a close one. That was a close one.
You guys played against Fire?
We did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
So
Chad and I.
We're due for a win.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, yeah, a lot of good things coming.
We have one more, the delegate.
The delegate.
We always forget about the delegate convention, the delegates. So the delegates. Steve, I think Steve went back to New York. Was it New York? To talk about, I don't know what you went back there for, honestly. What did you go back there for?
A convention.
A convention. Okay.
Delegate convention.
Delegate convention. When he came back, he thought that was probably a great idea for us to try to implement here. So we do have board of directors and within each area command and headquarters. So now we went out to do delegates for each area command, headquarters, and different shifts, or each shift.
Yeah, so it covers all the shifts. It's really something that it's getting eyes and ears out into all the areas of the department, and our board of directors really are the ones pushing out information to them. So if we have anything that's pertinent, they push out that information to the delegates. The delegates then push it out to the squads, because there's a lot that goes on up here that we'll push out, and the board of directors really push it out to their squad, and that's it. So now they'll push it out to their delegates, who hit then all the squads and all the shifts.
Yeah. I think it's Steve has been meeting with the board of directors and their delegates, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, whatever he can do, or whatever they can do, actually. So that's been it's been nice to do that. We're
getting a whole lot more calls and more
we
communication,
sure have,
which is
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think it's been great. But so wanted to touch on the delegates. We do have our convention in October again, so that will be fun and nice.
During deer season. Great.
That's right.
Anything else, Adela?
No, there's nothing else.
Dan, anything to close before we head out, buddy?
Nope, it's just going to be an exciting weekend. Make sure you guys don't miss the wind banquet tomorrow, Wildlife in Nevada.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. See me there, say hi. Don't bid on any of the guns I'm bidding on or the hunts, and we'll be good.
All right.
All right.
Listen, we always enjoy doing the podcast. We always get a lot of people asking, hey, you going to do another one, going to do another one. We're going to try and be more frequent with these this year. I'd really, really like to do one on a live, like a Facebook Live or however we could do it, so that we could actually have people calling in if we have a guest on, that they could say, hey, that person's an asshole, they're a liar, and, or, hey, no, this is what's going on, and we appreciate the support here and there. So I'd like to do that here in the near future, but if you have topics that you want us to cover, we can do the research on it on the front end and then put it on the podcast in the future if you want to be on the podcast. let us know. We'll let one of our members or someone in the community that supports our officers and our first responders. We'd love to hear from anybody. So our email's still up, right?
Yep,
Podcast
podcast.
at lvppa.com. Feel free to shoot some ideas or anything like that there. But in the meantime, please stay safe. Please enjoy yourself, enjoy your families, and we look forward to the next show.
That's awesome.
111, 110.